Hey, I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Probably Tiger Woods is finished playing now. I don't even want to look at what the score is. It could be pretty bad. So I've got a nice old Elgin pocket watch up here that I'm working on. It is a full hunter case on this thing with a lid on it. And what I've done already is I have taken a watch apart and I put it in the cleaning machine and cleaned the crap out of it. And now I'm just taking the pieces out for reassembly. So we're going to reassemble this watch to a degree, I hope. And I got all the parts in these little containers. So I have no choice but to reassemble it now, because here I go taking it apart. And I'm going to see how good a job that the watch cleaning device did for this particular watch. This is my cage. These are the cages. I will end up putting a glove on, because I don't want you guys to give me shit for not having a glove. But what I need to do is, these are the cages and I need to dump stuff. So I'm going to just start dumping stuff, because I can't put a watch back together unless I have all the parts. So I'm just going to start dumping stuff. This is the balance staff bridge here. I may dump stuff out of your view, so I apologize if I do that, but what do I always say? Too friggin' bad. Too friggin' bad. Let me just move my camera just a bit so you can see stuff. See my black t-shirt I'm wearing today. So I'm just dumping the parts. This is the safest way of doing it. And that way you're not touching them, and they're also out of the way. So I'm also dumping them back there, so they're out of the way, or they're out of the way. I cleaned this watch last weekend, and it's been a full week here. So for sure the parts are dry. And as I've told you folks a million times, I'm still working, so I think I got about a month left in me. And after that, I retire, and then I can do the watch work daily if I want to, right? So I can get at it. It is cottage season though, so I will be at the cottage from time to time, and that will cause me to not be doing watch work. So that's, what do I say, too bad, so sad. Right now I'm processing a video, so you can see noise in the background. There's the balance spring. That's a reusable balance spring. It's not set enough that I'm worried about it. We'll put that back into the barrel. There's the barrel and the cap, and here are some of the plates here, and I've got to get a Myers number 58 movement holder, and these plates have been completely cleaned. And as you recall with this watch, this was a mess, a total mess. So I had to actually use a steel brush to get some of the corrosion off of the movement. So I'm trying not to touch this with my fingers, because you guys will give me shit if I do. So I'm just moving the parts out here and getting them back, put them back into the basket where they're safe. There we go. And this is the second one. Lower that down. And I keep this basket in an old container. So now I want to get these parts out, and I've got the, there we go, from the mainspring arbor. Put that over where the mainspring is, and there's the ratchet wheel here. Ratchet wheel and the ratchet wheel screw. And I managed to get all these parts out, and it was pretty testy, I'll tell you that. There's all the parts coming together here. And the reason why is that it was corroded like crazy. There's a crown wheel, and there's a crown wheel screw, and a kind of a crown wheel set-in grommet, I'll call it. I think Donald Trump always says that. He says, I'll call this or whatever, and then he just names stuff. I think he forgets what he's saying, and he just starts naming stuff. That's what you do. You forget stuff and you name it. That's what you do. Naming stuff. It's what you call or whatever, and you just call it anything you want. So there's the stem. I move that out of the way over here, because all the components of the stem, I got to remember how to put that together. So it's always tricky. And of course, oiling all this stuff is fun till your daddy takes your T-bird away. And here's the rest of the cages, and just drop that down. And this is my Nicholas cages. And I've got a charger. I know where this charger is now. I found it. But this little box is great to store this in because I don't have to worry about this flicking out of my hand or something. And if I were carrying this and were ever to fall, then I'd have to deal with it. So here's an old platform balance that I got as part of a whole bunch of stuff I bought. And I think I can get this thing working again. I think I can. And they're worth a lot of money, these things. They're like $250 for a new one of these. 250 skins for a new one. And I got the whole box of crap for $10. $10. So let's start reassembling this watch. Oh, I know I'm going to wind this spring in by hand, and only because I can do it, and I know how to do it, but I can't do it with gloves on. And I don't know if anybody out there can do it with gloves on. As I've said many times before, back in the day, and I just washed my hands, by the way, back in the day, people would work on pocket watches without latex gloves on. And this is what they did. Maybe they washed their hands a lot or worked really hard or did something, but they did not wear gloves. So, and I know to wind this mainspring back into the barrel, once you get half decent at it, right, you can do it with your hands, but you can't do it with latex gloves on because the gloves interfere or get in the way of you rolling that barrel back into the watch. So it does not work that way. It will not work that way. I don't care who you are. And this is the tough part right here because I got to rock it back and forth until it gets in. There we go. There it is. That's in the barrel. Now I'll Rodico that out so I could get rid of some of the, perhaps I have a little bit of grease on here, but I don't think so. But I'll Rodico that out, then I'll oil the top of this barrel because this is an old mainspring. And I've got to put the arbor back in. And I'm hoping I wound it in the right way, by the way, because I'm going to have to look and see, but I noticed the tab was facing a certain way, so it should be wound in the right way. And I got to put the arbor back in, and I look at which way the arbor is facing, and it looks like the arbor would go in just like this, and then catch on, just like that. There it is there. So this should all be working perfectly. There we go. Look at that. So now the arbor is in, and that should hook the watch. And you can test that by getting a pin vise out. I'm going to grab the pin vise I have here with a needle in it. That's so I can stab anybody that bothers me while I'm trying to repair watches. And you can just do this and grab this on the bottom like that, and then squeeze down on that arbor just a bit. See if I can squeeze on that arbor. And then when you turn this, as you can see, it's grabbing the spring. I'm going to tighten it a bit more here. It's grabbing the spring and then turning the spring. So I believe I've got all this in the right position only because I knew which way the barrel hook went. So, and the barrel hook is over here somewhere. So, and I'm going to prevent that from popping out while you're working on it, you put it over the top of something, right? Like this. Let me see. Is that all the way in? I think it is. Now it is. Yeah, you can see it. So now I would oil the edge there. I put that on the top of this, and now I can put a little tiny bit of oil on the edges there. But I'm just going to sweep it just quickly with Rodico, and I'm going to sweep it in a clockwise, but the same position it's sitting in. And this is just in case there's something in there that I might want to get rid of. Just like that. And then I'm going to take a look at my phone and my camera to make sure I put that in right. And there it is there, and guess what? It's in right. It's amazing. Mr. In right. So I did it right. No problem there at all. Now you can see in my pictures how corroded this watch was. This was a mess. And look at inside there. Terrible, terrible, terrible. It was a mess. Look at that. Ugly. So I've done a lot of work on this watch to try to get it recovered, and we'll see what the result is at the end of the day, right? So there's the stem I need to deal with. In this picture, I've cleaned half of the watch. The bottom half is still dirty. The top half is relatively clean. And I did that with a brush by hand. And I did it in my last video. If you look up 21 Jewel Hamilton. Actually, no, this is an Elgin. Sorry. 21, not sure if it's 21. Anyway, Elgin Hunter. You'll look this up and you'll watch the video and see what I did. And upside down, it's called "Can This Watch Be Restored?" Man, it was ugly. So have a look at that video. I think you'll enjoy it, and it's good. Now I've got my oiling cups here. This is what they look like. They're Bergeron oiling cups. I've got my oiling holder here, and this is what this looks like. It's another Bergeron tool. I only use the best, folks. Only use the best. And for this oil, I will put a strip of oil here, and this, when the watch is wound up, this oil will find itself around the watch. So I'm not too concerned about it not finding its way around the watch. So you do it in 4 spots, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this does find its way around the watch. And surprisingly enough, I'm going to put a little bit more right there. Right there. There we go. And that's all you pretty much need to do for oiling the mainspring. The new mainsprings do not require oiling. They will not corrode. This mainspring could corrode, and you don't want it to. So, and to put the cap on, you're lining the cap up with this tab right here, right there. That's where it needs to go. And I'm going to have to oil the edges of this thing later, but there it is there. And I just have to look down closely to make sure that's in the right place, and then squeeze down on it, and that should put it into position. And then what I do is, I can see it wants to stick up, so I gotta get that down. Come on, stay down. It's not wanting to stay down for a reason, for some reason, I don't know why. So usually I'll just put my my tweezers in here and then just lower it, and hopefully that cap just stays in position. I have to check out why it doesn't want to stay down. Maybe something is not aligned properly. Let's check this out. Now if I look at this really closely, it looks like the spring is below the edge on everything, so there's really no reason why this thing wants to jump up. So, and then this has to go down like that, which would flatten that out. So there's no real reason why. But in case you think it's up just a bit, just take a flat stake, and you got to kind of line this up with the edge. So I'm lining it up where this guy would be right on the edge like that, and you got to look at it as you're hitting it. So I'm gonna just get rid of my stupid camera here in the front. All right, the barrel cap is officially on. This one was a little bit of a, it was not super easy, and I'm not sure why, but perhaps it was under stress. Put a little bit of oil on the edge here, on both sides. and that'll just spin around and oil the rest of it. And the cap's on nicely, and I also want to put a little oil on the bottom here. And that's to allow the arbor to turn. This watch was not working when I got it, and it was rusted all the crap. A significant amount of corrosion on it. So, not good. And it was green corrosion. You'll see in my video how the condition of the watch when I received it. So, not good at all. There we go. So that's done. D-O-N-E. And put my stuff back. I can put this stake away. This is one I was using for just tapping this baby down. Tap the baby down. Whoa! The cap just jumped right up on me, I think. Alright, I got a real problem with the cap here. It just does not want to stay on, and I'm not sure why. So I may try to put the spring back in again, take it out and put it back in again, and see if that's the problem, but it just doesn't want to stay on for some reason. So we're going to have to go at this again. Alright, the barrel cap will not fit on, and I don't know why. This is the watch it came out of, and I can't recall whether the barrel cap was on tight or loose or whatever when I got the watch, but this barrel cap will not fit on. So I'm looking for recommendations on how to make this thing fit. It's clean, and it just won't snap on. It's amazing. I'll push it on. It seems to be just a little bit too big for the watch, and I'll push it on even without the mainspring in, and it just wants to snap back up again. So not sure what the problem is or whether I can resolve this by just shaving off a little material off the barrel cap, because you want it to snap in, right? You don't want it to pop up. So it's an odd problem. I don't think I've ever had this problem before. But this is what happens when you take on a crazy watch from somebody. So that's the barrel cap, and it will not snap on. So let me know if you've got a solution for that, and we'll keep going with this particular watch.